On April 30th, the Modi government made a surprise announcement. The next national census will include caste data for the first time since 1931 when it was done under British rule. This has been a key demand of the Congress, especially Rahul Gandhi, for the past 2 years. So, why has the BJP suddenly agreed? What does this mean for policy, representation, and power in India? To help us understand the impact, we speak with Kancha Ilaiah Shepherd, who is a political theorist, social activist, and author of the Shudra Rebellion, along with other books. He also serves as vice chairman of the independent expert committee set up by the Telangana government to review its caste survey data. Thank you so much, sir, firstly, for joining us today. And the first
Yeah,
thing that I would want to ask you is that what would it mean for India to actually have a caste census after so many years?
well, one of the major changes that caste census would make to the country is that the entire Shudra OBCs who have been demanding for caste census immediately after the Mandal Commission Supreme Court judgment. The Supreme Court judgment restricted the OBC reservation to 27% by imposing a cap of on overall reservation 50%. Now, when the arguments took place before the Supreme Court, at that time, they said, where is the population numbers data that how much actually OBCs constitute in terms of numbers, population. So since the caste census were not done after 1931 census, so there was no way in which the government at that time could put the caste data before the Supreme Court. Then they broadly, without any rationale, came to a conclusion, okay, in which case we will limit the entire reservation quota to 50%, scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, and physically handicapped, all that together 50%. Then they broadly worked out 27% reservation. There they stopped it. But then in 2006 again, when the reservations were extended to central educational institutions, the issue came up. Again, the same argument. I mean, we can't give beyond 27%, though the people are said to be around 52%. So since then, the regional parties, the OBC leaders have been asking for caste census, and then governments have been agreeing to it. But they had one fear, that if the caste census is done, the question of OBC representation in the parliaments will come. Parliaments and state legislations will come. And there was this demand that the OBC should get a separate electoral reservation along with scheduled caste, scheduled tribes. So that also has been getting postponed because of lack of census data. So immediately that is the main thing before the entire governing forces at Delhi.
So the major thing would be again around revolving around reservations and coming to the population, at least based on the three states that caste census has been conducted, that's Bihar, Telangana, and Karnataka. It does seem like the OBC's representation is going to be way more higher in the national survey. Bihar had around 63%, Telangana had 56%, and Karnataka has 70%. So, would it mean that the 50% cap that the Supreme Court has held for reservations?
Well, in Telangana, the OBC population is 56.5%.
Yeah, including
In Karnataka, in Karnataka it is 63. In Karnataka it is 70%.
Yeah.
I said.
Telangana is Bihar is 60.
No, in Karnataka it is 70 because they included Lingayat and Vakligas as part of the OBCs. In Bihar, it is 63%. Now, in Telangana, it is less because Reddis, who are like Lingayas and Vaklingas, are not included in the reservation. Velamas are not included. Kammas are not included, though all of them are Shudras. So, if they too want to be part of the reservation, it will go up even in Telangana as well. Now, whatever could be the numbers and whatever could be the definition of the backward classes, because the definition of backward classes in Mandal Commission report includes all Shudras, excluding Brahmins, Banyas, Kshatriyas, Kayasthas, and Khatris in North India. In South India, basically Brahmins and Banyas and few other small communities which are having a historical character of, wearing sacred thread and then defining themselves as part of the Brahmin community, because there is no Kshatriya community. So if the definition changes, and the Mandal Commission definition is the norm, even in North India, Jats, Patels, Marathas, all these communities would come into backward. Then the numbers will go up and their reservation position will change in central universities, IITs, medical colleges, universities, and jobs, and so on and so forth. The other major concern of the 5 upper castes, mainly the Brahmins, Banyas, Kayasthas, Khatris, who are the historically Dvija castes, is that once the caste census is properly nation-wise is done, through the Commissioner of Census and Registrar of Census, which is a constitutional body, then the reservation in private sector will come. Now that is what the big industrialists, the RSS leaders, even Brahmin leaders in Congress and regional party, in regional parties were opposing caste census. Now, once the definition is changed, and like the Jats and Patels and Marathas who were asking for including them also in the reservation, the overall scenario of national political system itself will change. That is the fear there.
So Do you expect that there could be reservations in the private sector? Will the government allow it?
No, it is not the question of government. In 2006, when Manmohan Singh was Prime Minister, there was a proposal at least give 10% to the SC, ST, OBCs in the private sector. Now, under the chairmanship of Veerappa Moily, a consultation committee was formed with the private sector, with the rest of the stakeholders, and so on and so forth. But the private sector, Chamber of Commerce, and the representatives of private sector did not agree for a reservation in private sector. And RSS, BJP at that time remained silent. Mainly RSS was opposing, but even the communists were not very committed about it. Congress was, very half-heartedly pushed the agenda. And that was one of the reasons why the industrialists went away from Congress by 2014 election. Now, the question is, once RSS, BJP are allowed to conduct caste census, they are allowing the caste census to be conducted, then the electoral scenario of the country will change. Because even now, why is it that BJP, RSS have agreed to conduct caste census? If you remember, after Udayanidhi Stalin's statement on Sanatan Dharma, the entire upper caste of RSS, BJP, including OBC Prime Minister, owned Sanatan Dharma and went on campaigning that there is a threat to Sanatan Dharma by India Alliance itself. And, even Rahul Gandhi was included in it, though he never criticized Sanatan Dharma. It was mainly, a Dravidian slogan. Now, this definitely annoyed OBCs. Sanatan Dharma is seen as an institution that created Varna system and caste system. So BJP RSS leaders owned it along with Yogi Adityanath and conservative people. Now they realize that there is a problem here. Unless we go to caste census, they will not remain with us. Modi is not being accepted by OBCs after that, when he said that conducting caste census as being asked by India Alliance, mainly Rahul Gandhi, is paap, is sin. Like, Mahatma Phule's time, the Brahmins were saying that educating girls was paap and sin. They will go to hell if their women are educated in India. Now, similar language began to be used by OBC Prime Minister. OBCs never accept the idea of Sanatan Dharma being the same like what now is understood as Hinduism. Hinduism is seen as more amalgamated. It can go against caste system if properly reworked its relationship. So now RSS, BJP realize there is a new realization among OBCs, and the educated OBCs have become an oath bank like the Muslims and Dalits. Therefore, they have come round the issue of caste census. Having come round, once the caste census is done, the data is available, naturally lot of new questions will come.
Do you think that this is more of a political move, considering that in 2024, a major section of Hindu society didn't vote for the BJP? Is it a political move by the BJP to get the votes in? Just a voter bank
You
politics?
mean most of the Hindu society, in the sense, lot of OBCs have definitely shifted to India land.
Yeah.
And that is where Congress could manage to get 100 seats after 2024. And it was Rahul Gandhi who, one major thing which media is not really talking about is from the Nehru family. Nehru opposed the OBC reservation in 1953. He did not like to implement Kaka Kalelkar report. Then Ambedkar was trying to convince him that no, the Shudras in India are discriminated. They were not allowed to educate their children. They remained illiterate. They need to be brought into reservation. Nehru thought that reservation means destruction of merit. Now, Indira Gandhi also did not accept Mandal Commission report, and she too went more or less with the understanding of Nehru. Then the Mandal Commission was implemented not by BJP, not by Congress. It was implemented by the Janata Dal wing of PP Singh when he was Prime Minister. The BJP withdrew support because Mandal Commission report was implemented. And Rajiv Gandhi was as strong as Nehru and Indira Gandhi against implementation of Mandal Commission. Now, from that family, Rahul Gandhi owning caste census and removal of 50% cap is a major turning point in Indian upper caste history. Two leaders supported, anti-caste ideological framework and changes within the caste order, fighting against untouchability. One was Lohia. During the freedom struggle and later in the socialist parties, he was the one who brought up OBC leaders like Mulayam Singh, Lalu Prasad, and so on. The second one was VP Singh. But both of them were taking stands in a very minimalized form. Now, Rahul Gandhi, having come from a family of 3 prime ministers who oppose reservation, has taken a very radical stand and is very consistent, is very young, and is very vocal. He says, it is my movement, not political issue. It is that which has shaken BJP and RSS. If not today, tomorrow they will be seen as anti-OBC, anti-Shudra, and pro-Brahmin, pro-Banya, which they were earlier. So the game was shifting with the 2024 election, Congress putting caste census in the election manifesto. Now, within Congress party, senior leaders like Chidambaram, Jairam Ramesh, Anand Sharma, Manish Tiwari, they were all opposed to caste census. So now there is a major shift in the ideological domain of Indian politics. We know that, this terrorism event, the most ghastly incident in Kashmir, and then the war situation uh, uh, in between India and Pakistan is doing a very bad uh, politics around their own survival, because it's absolutely a mismanaged state and it may slip into military dictatorship. Therefore, all this is happening. But this is a transitory phase. The real shift in the Indian political domain, Indian intellectual domain, Indian education domain, Indian economic domain and industry also, caste census will shift the whole framework.
Right. So even when we see the politics, this is a U-turn even for the Congress politics that they have followed over the years, and also obviously of the BJP as well. But again, coming to this, what would it mean in terms of religion? Because there are caste even in Muslims. Sikhism, though theoretically it's egalitarian, but we understand that there exists caste system even in Sikhism. And though Jainism, as of now, doesn't say that they have a caste, but in the previous census, we do see that some people may align with one caste. How would the data collection happen? Because of so many complexities, even within different religions, when it's specifically seen from the lens of Hinduism.
Well, this is a very important question. See, when Telangana did the caste survey, it collected the Muslim caste data because in a caste manual, in a survey manual, Telangana government has given a survey question manual to all enumerators. In that, there is BCDE, which is meant for Muslims. Now, this BCDE, D group, Muslim BCE group, consists names of 60 castes. And all those 60 caste people enumerated themselves as backward classes out of the total Muslim population of Telangana, which is 12.58%. 80% of Muslims registered themselves as OBCs. Now, this pattern of Muslim caste census survey was opposed by BJP. In Karnataka, what they did, they collected Muslim data, but included castes as part of the general OBCs. There is no division of separate Muslim group as an OBC. In Bihar also they did like that. Now, about Christians, in Telangana caste census survey, there is a converted Dalit Christian group called BCC, and their caste survey data has also been collected separately because they have been getting 1% reservation. Now, this only shows that all other religions, except as you rightly said, Jains mostly are Banyas. 99% Jains are only Banyas. Therefore, they will not register themselves as a separate caste within tomorrow in the national caste census. But rest of the religions, there are scheduled castes, there are OBCs, so they will register as OBC. If the central government's census questionnaire has, are you an OBC? And then when they ask Muslims or Christians, and they will say yes. What caste you belong to? They will say some caste name there. Now, what do they do with this? Once the people themselves are accepting that they are OBCs and their caste name is registered in your survey questionnaire, now what do? Tomorrow, do you consider them for reservation or not? Now, what one of the ministers said is, no, we will collect the data. If they register themselves as OBC, as scheduled caste, we will collect that. But once under the religion, if they say Christian and Muslim, we will not accept them for reservation. Now, that will become a judicial problem. Because my feeling is, caste is not just Hindu. Caste is Indian. Caste came from the Sanatan Dharmic Varna Dharma system, but whatever religions later came, they converted caste, automatically remained castes there.
Yeah.
For example, what is a caste? Caste is an economic occupation. Somebody is a shoemaker, somebody is a pot maker, somebody is a shepherd, somebody is a washer, somebody is a tiller, and so on. When they converted to some other religion, that occupation did not change immediately. Where do they go? What occupation do they take up? Simply because you become Muslim, you don't get your food straight from Allah, right? You have to get your food through the labor process, to the occupation that you work with. And if you become Christian, you don't get food straight away from God or Jesus. You have to work with your historically aligned occupation base.
The identity doesn't change in the society for any of them.
Doesn't change, and also caste is closely associated with dignity of labor. If you are a Brahmin priest, you don't become Christian, you don't become Muslim. But if you are a cobbler, you have low status, you have humiliation, you have no temple entry, you have no acceptance in marriages. Therefore, they become Christian. Therefore, they became Muslim at one point of time, not now. So, what do? So, therefore, the RSS BJP understanding of religion and caste is wrong. Caste is Indian. Take, for example, Kerala Catholicism. They are all upper caste. They are all either former Brahmins or Nayars, whether it is Syrian Christian or Mathoma Christians. And BJP defines them as Indianized Christianity, only Catholicism, because they are upper caste. Protestants are Dalits mostly. What do? Now, among Muslims, they have not registered in Telangana as scheduled caste.
Yeah.
There is no single scheduled caste among Muslims. But there are OBCs. Because in church there was untouchability, but in mosque there was no untouchability. You see the difference. Church practiced untouchability. Even now, in certain areas, church practice untouchability. So that's where the problem is. How do you handle that?
So it would depend on the questions that the government chooses to put on the survey to see who can be, how people choose whether they are OBC. If they name it, then the government would have to do something about it if they start pointing that out.
Yeah, I have a feeling the questionnaire should be so framed that it merely should not capture the caste social location of only Hindu. It should capture the caste location of all religions, number one. Number two, Supreme Court does not satisfy merely with the numbers of OBCs to remove the 50% cap. It asks for the socio-economic and cultural status of each group. So therefore, what Congress is asking is, you adopt the Telangana model, which has done an excellent preparation of questionnaire with 54 parameters to collect every aspect of data. Your school dropout, your college education, your employment, your land ownership, your other assets. Then along with caste, if you collect the socio-economic condition, for example, how many industrialists are there among OBCs, among Dalits? If that kind of data comes and if it is put before the Supreme Court about reservation in private sector, about reservation in higher education, then I think the socio-economic churning will take place. But this is what the Brahmins, Banyas are afraid. They don't want this churning to happen. So let us see what happens.
And the last question, so if you could answer in brief, do you really expect that the census would be conducted anytime soon? Because it's pending for a long time, and even as of now, we don't have a clear cut information on how and when would it be conducted. There's no information available. So do you expect it to happen before the 2029 elections?
Well, see, having declared by the cabinet committee that in this census, caste census will be included. Now, the census, decadal census, is already delayed by 4 years. Now, you know why they did not conduct caste census in 2022 when Corona completely subsided. If they go for caste census, having put an OBC prime minister who repeatedly claimed oaths that I will change the OBC socioeconomic status. And he has not done anything for 10 years for OBCs. Instead, he increased the reservation for upper caste, EWS.
Yeah.
So Modi and BJP and RSS thought if they go for census before 24 elections, they will lose definitely because Congress and India Alliance will make caste census as the main plank, and we would have conducted the census, and only after 10 years we will have to go for that. So in 2024 election, they would have lost. So in order to save that situation, they delayed and now they are going. If they don't do census or do census without caste data, then BJP is gone. The OBC anger will be 100-fold more than what it is now. RSS as an organization will go back to the old Brahman Banya organizational status. Today, OBCs are not like the earlier OBCs. That is the reason why they shifted to BJP from Congress. Because Congress is not giving them anything earlier. But it was not giving them all this. So they were angry with Nehru at one stage, Indira Gandhi at another stage, Rajiv Gandhi, another. Regional parties were formed by them. So They cannot escape.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your thoughts. As we discussed, it sounds like the caste census is more than just numbers. It would also allow people to be seen and heard in the democracy and give them the representation that's required. Let's see what happens next and how it changes the overall politics and economic status of the country. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me on your show.